So I think we should just start where we left off.
Yeah.
Before the
Let's
podcast.
Go. Yeah.
But I guess the question was, you don't usually listen to podcasts.
No, I don't. Like I've been meaning to a million times.
Uh-huh.
I've checked out a few, very few episodes, and of course I checked out yours here, just to get the hang of it.
Yeah, make sure you're not walking into a trap or something.
An ambush in the night.
But let me start off by introducing you, Mr. Johan Svahn. Is that how you pronounce your last name?
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah, it is. Thank you. Thank you.
Okay.
I'm very happy to be here. Very happy.
Yeah,
very interesting.
I'm very happy. I think we met maybe less than a year ago.
Yep. Had a great dinner.
Yeah, super good dinner.
Yeah.
Every time, we have like guests that come to Helsingør, it's always great to go out and let loose, have a good dinner.
Yeah.
But it was cool. It made a good impression on me.
Thank you.
But I'm definitely more aware of your work from before. I remember, I think the first time I saw your work is when you were hanging out with Marco Sirio at Blue Bloods.
Yeah.
Yeah, and that I think I was following him for a number of years. I was first kind of introduced to your work then.
Okay, cool.
But
cool.
it was
love going there.
Yeah.
Yeah. Marco's a rad dude, and it's always very inspiring to go there, check out Amsterdam, and just Marco and everybody at the shop.
Yeah.
And it's a cool spot.
Yeah, it's a super cool shop. I was very happy. I did like a week there once.
Yeah.
It's super nice. Super good guy.
Yeah, super cool. Very, very hard working.
Definitely.
And talented.
Definitely.
What's up, Marco?
If you ever listen to this, it would be a miracle. Him and 10 other people that listen to this podcast. Every time someone's on the podcast, I gain a new subscriber.
Yeah.
And then I lose one somewhere along the line. So we're about the 10 person limit now.
All right.
To
all you 10 persons listening, we're going to make it 12 now.
Yes. Woo! But yeah, again, it's good to have you on. And
thank you.
I guess to start off, I mean, where you're from originally?
Well, I'm from just pretty close to here, Malmo, down south in Sweden. It's just over the bridge from Copenhagen.
Right. Mm-hmm.
So, yeah.
And so you grew up there?
Grew up in Malmo, yep.
Wow.
Third biggest city in Sweden.
Yeah.
So, pretty small city still.
No, I went there once. I when I first moved here to just kind of like check out the different areas, and that was one of my spots.
Yeah.
I was looking for you, but you weren't there.
No. I was out and about somewhere, probably.
You're having fun.
Yeah.
We got stuck.
I like that.
We got stuck in the rain looking for you.
Yeah. Sorry.
It's all good. So what was it like growing up there?
It was good. It was great. It's a small city, kind of. No, it's a city still.
Yeah.
About 350,000 on the sea.
Mm-hmm.
It's a very nice little city. A few tattoo shops even back then.
Yeah.
So one of the oldest shops in Sweden was in Malmo, my city.
Really?
Actually, right in the apartment building I lived in.
Oh, no shit.
Yeah. So, and this was Kenneth Fong, had his shop there. Growing up, playing in the yard inside the apartment building, so to say, we always heard machines buzzing.
Wow.
Because he had his room to the yard.
Mm-hmm. Wow.
I guess that was my first introduction to tattooing. Hearing that, we always used to run up to him and be like, "Yo, draw me this," and he was like, "Get the fuck out of here!"
He didn't want any trouble.
No. So, if you think about it later on, the whole thing, it was pretty early in my life. You got that tattooing machine bus in your life.
Now, when you were hearing the machines, were you thinking at that time, like, this is something I would want to do? Or was it one of those things along the line where it was like an early seed was planted and then it kind of came along.
You know, when we were kids, like really small, like 4 or 5, whatever, running around there, like it wasn't anything you thought of other than that it was cool. Mm-hmm. Like my dad was tattooed, but it was kind of like jailhouse tattoos.
Right.
Like rising sun on the forearm, some birds along it, mm-hmm. some different small bad tattoos, sure. You know. So, but no, it wasn't anything you thought of, like until you later on pieces together,
right?
And you kind of connect, like, it was a red line going through it, like. Always intrigued by it, for sure. You know, always.
Right. Yeah, for me, it was my uncle. He had a shitty tattoo on his forearm.
Yeah.
And I never even knew what it was. But it was so cool to me that it was something you couldn't wash off. And I think partly because I kind of idealized him, I was thinking like, I need to get a tattoo as well.
Yeah.
So it's like I could be like him. And he was a guy that like rode motorcycles and...
he was rad.
Yeah, he was rad. Lived in a mobile home.
Yeah.
Off the grid. Yeah. But that shit was exciting to me.
Shit, like. I wish I did that. Even now.
That's actually our next step.
Yeah.
We're gonna live off the grid in a mobile home, or it's gonna be mobile. It's not
for real.
Well, it's something that has been on our radar for a while.
Yeah.
We've been talking to a lot of people lately about it. Just recently at the London convention, we met a few artists that, you know, I kind of look up to, Japanese tattooers, and, you know, Rodrigo Melo. And his wife.
Fucking super rad dude.
Yeah, super nice.
I met him in San Diego the first time.
Yeah.
Fucking so nice, dude.
Super nice. I met him a long time ago. Probably maybe 16, 17 years ago at the New York convention. And then we met recently again, probably a couple years ago at the Chicago convention. And he remembered my arm. And then it kind of like, it all clicked. And then since then, every convention I go to, he's there. And so he just recently was like, we've been on the road for like a year or so.
Yeah. He's everywhere.
Mm-hmm. And he has like a 1-year-old child.
Yeah.
Traveling with them, but that's in part a dream. It's scary to me at the same time because I like having the home base.
Yeah, but I get what you're saying. I get for sure what you're saying.
But the impression I got from him is that his shoulders were like super relaxed, super calm.
He's a relaxed dude.
Yeah, and I was like, can I have some of that? You know, like give me some of that calm and peace that you have.
You know, they moved to just when I was there in San Diego visiting Bill, and they just moved to Encinitas, just a little bit up the coast.
Okay.
I didn't know at the time what kind of city it was, Encinitas, but I rode through it, and I was like, dude, this fits him so good.
Yeah.
Because this laid back vibe, and this whole city is just on the sea, super chill. I remember thinking like, dude, I want to live here too.
Would you ever, like, if you had the chance to do it, like, would you ever move over to the States, or is...
Well, you know, I love the States. You know, I love traveling to the States. I love visiting, for sure. At some point, I think so, for sure. It's got so much good stuff with nature, with tattoo shops, like on both coasts. Haven't been so much into the center of it, but like the West Coast, the East Coast, I love it. I would love to try that out at some time in my life. I definitely don't think I'm going to settle down in Malmo, Sweden my whole life.
Yeah, for me, I don't see myself settling down anywhere, really. I like seeing, you know, the world and just having that opportunity to kind of like experience new people, new areas. Because just visiting isn't necessarily enough. You have to kind of like plant yourself for a while.
For sure. To get the vibe of it, for sure. And really to connect with the place and get more of it than just passing through.
And that was partly why I moved here. Was because I'd been in Boston most of my life. thinking like, okay, if I want to see the world, then being in Boston's not the place. I gotta go somewhere else. For me, it's always like catching the next opportunity. And just being open for it.
Well, I think we got it pretty well off with that, being tattooers. True. Being able to travel, I think, is the fucking best thing about it. Yeah. Like being able to travel and being able to get in contact with somebody. You don't even have to know them, but maybe you know of each other. Right. And you're like, hey, what's up? You know, I was wanting to come out and visit, and it's going to be like cool. Like if anybody that I knew of would write me and be like, hey, I was thinking to come and visit, I would be like, dude, or dudette, come over. Like, so that's so fucking rad about tattooing, that we get to do that, you know, to travel. And like when I started tattooing, I didn't start tattooing because I thought it was a career choice. Once I got that it was a career choice, I was like, fuck, that's cool. Yeah. Wow. But even to get to travel to so many places that you get to travel, of course, you got to go after it to do it. It doesn't fall in your lap. Totally, yeah. But that's the main perk of it, you know? And all the people you meet, because you know, you guys, you like the same thing. You're into the same thing. Like, so let's just meet up and it's going to be pretty easy going. Yeah, totally. But it seems to be like that more, I guess, internationally, where people are a bit more open. But when you're in like the same town, it's not so open. No. Shit, like I started out tattooing at home. How dare you? Yeah, exactly. Fucking asshole. After a little while, I got like, okay, this is wrong. You know, this is like just after a month or two, I was like, I should probably pursue this in a different manner, you know? So I tried getting an apprenticeship, didn't work out. But like I said, it wasn't like, I never thought of it as a career choice. But I'm very happy it turned out like that. Yeah, totally. I love looking at your work, and thank you very much. Whenever I see it online, it's the same. Thank you. I appreciate it. But whenever I see it, it's always like, where the fuck does this guy have time to do it? Because it's always these huge, intricate pieces, and it's just like, for me, the thing that draws me to it is like, it's still traditional based in a way, but it has so much movement, so much great color choices, and it's a mixture of like controlled looseness, I guess. I don't want to pinhole you or tell you what you do, but to me, that the impression impresses me the most is like how much movement, how much you're able to kind of put into one single tattoo. I appreciate it. Thank you very much. I think no one is happy with, like, truly happy with what they're doing. Like, fuck, this is the shit. Sure. You know, it's like, I've always been looking at very traditional stuff, but like what comes out of me is something different, you know? Even if I try to scale things back, I always end up adding too much detail. Sometimes I think like, I'm like, oh, why are you doing it like this? Like, you look at this piece that you really like and you take inspiration from it. Not that you want to copy it, but you want to get the vibe of it. Sure. Like, fuck, I really love this dragon and this background. And then it turns out more detailed. So I guess it's kind of like, I appreciate you saying it. But I'm always trying to scale it back with the details, but it's not coming out because I'm always adding more and more. And I'm like, don't add more. And I'm like, okay, just a little bit here. I'll just put a little bit something over here. But thanks for liking it. Yeah, totally. But I think, like you said, it's true. Like, because you're doing it,
you see things that you're liking and disliking more so than what anybody else looking at it would see.
Of course, you never look at faults when I look at someone else's tattoo, unless they're shitty.
Unless that's all there is.
Yeah, exactly. But like, but you're always fucking second guessing yourself.
Mm-hmm.
Like, fuck, why did I do that there? And like, I would love to get to see my own tattoos.
As if you didn't do them.
Like, as if I didn't do them.
Yeah.
That would be very interesting.
Yeah.
Like I had like a thing with languages. Like you never hear your own language and the way others hear it. So I was out in Mexico visiting my brother who lives there. And I've been there for weeks and I haven't heard any Swedish people talk for weeks.
Mm-hmm.
And I was passing these two chicks in a hallway. I was just coming around the corner and I hear them talk just as I passed the corner. And my first thought was, wow, that's a weird language. And then I got the next sentence and it was Swedish.
Uh-huh.
So I kind of got that, like, this is how Swedish sounds like,
right,
from an outside perspective. I would love to get that with my own tattoos to kind of see, like, okay, so this is how others perceive them.
Right. Do you ever look at old drawings and
think I suck?
Well,
yeah. Yeah.
I mean, but you don't, like, I remember looking back at some old drawings that I've done, and I remember having a problem with a certain thing, and then more so with some of the paintings I've done, but I look at it and I forgot all the stuff that I was like upset about, and I almost got to look at it like I had never done it before. But it always takes quite a bit of years to kind of go by.
Yeah.
Obviously you see the faults, but there was just like this moment where you're like, oh, I could almost
I used to do that.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, for sure.
And it's because I don't do certain things in that style anymore. It's almost foreign to me.
Yeah.
So maybe with some years, it might change.
You know, I get that. It's like I've definitely looked at older stuff and been like, oh yeah, fuck, I should bring that back.
Yeah.
You know, and not that.
Definitely not that.
Definitely not that.
So when like kind of pursuing like this present style that you're kind of working in, or the approach, is it intentional or it just kind of happens as a result of how your hand moves?
For sure, like that, with how my hand moves. It's before I used to plan stuff and have more stuff drawn up. Now I have very little stuff drawn up.
Right.
And I just go with it. I think it's more interesting for me.
Yeah.
Sometimes I feel very unplanned in what I'm doing, because maybe I'll just have a dragon's head, and I'll always try to ask the client what they want, and I'm just like, oh, you want it going upwards, or you want it going downwards, you want it on the lower arm,
right,
on the upper arm? And I like the surprise for myself, what's gonna happen.
Right.
And during the years, I've been tattooing for 15 years now. It's not a lot of time. It's not a little time.
It's a good amount of time.
So, like, I enjoy drawing stuff on, because I would never plan anything as good on paper as I will do it, like kind of a spur of the moment thing. Once I got it on and I'm like, oh, I got this spot over here.
Right.
This is perfect for this. Like, this fits here.
Right.
And I think it keeps it interesting for me. I used to spend way more time drawing, way more time planning. And I think once I broke out of that, I got more movement into my tattooing, because of the spur of the moment thing. Like, let's just do it. I always try to, like, if I'm doing something, I'll try to draw a little bit of background, just very loose, just to get the motion in my hand.
Right.
On paper, just a little bit of waves,
like a golf swing or something.
Yeah. Just to get it going in my head,
right?
And just very loose and do shit that's not even like how I would do it, and I might come up with something like, oh, I like that. Right. I could try that on this, and once you got the body spot for it, you're like, oh, I'll put that in here.
Now, I'm glad you're talking about that, because this is kind of some things that I've been going over in my head a lot lately, and going from a place where like over planning, and then letting kind of inspiration take over. And a few years ago, I was like pretty busy where I didn't have a lot of time to prepare.
Yeah.
And so it was just like every day come to work and be like, all right, what are we doing today? And then, I got in the habit of drawing a lot of stuff on.
Yeah.
But then, you kind of slow down and being like, oh, maybe I didn't quite like how this came together. I wish I spent a few more hours in the planning stage.
Yeah.
So for me, I think I'm in the middle of what's enough information. I guess it's more like I want to make sure the drawing is bomb-proof.
Yeah.
And then like the flow and the design almost have to come like naturally. But now I've just been kind of experimenting more so with paintings, and just instead of planning a painting where I'm like drawing on a piece of paper, refining it, then transferring it. By the time I get to the second or third revision, I don't even want to paint the thing anymore.
Yeah.
So lately I
think that's very good.
Yeah. Doing
the getting loose on paper.
Loose.
But I guess still like even the shit you fuck up a little bit, like obviously you wouldn't do anything if you fuck it up, but like if you draw something on an arm and you're not really happy with the outcome, and you wipe something away, and you'll spend some more time on it, like everything you do, every hand movement you do throughout your career gives birth to something. It's never a waste of time.
Right.
It's always something you tried that steers you in one direction, or a thought like, okay, like I'm not going to do that again.
Right.
Or like I'm going to evolve this. Like that's a good thing, but maybe like this. So I think we're getting closer every day, right?
Totally. Yeah. I mean, that's my kind of like mission. Each tattoo I never think, okay, this is the standard, this is how I'm going to proceed. It's almost like every 5 or 6 months I'm revising everything. And even each tattoo where I'm like, okay, I can make this better, I can make this more exciting,
for sure,
this stronger. But I've been really drawn to a lot of the guys who are doing a lot of the freehand type work. When I got my like bodysuit from Chris, he pretty much drew everything on. I think he just put like a stencil for like a sword and the head of a dragon, everything else. And then it was really interesting to see like how much, because typically I would just stencil some of the main parts and then draw the background on. But he was doing main parts and background for something enormous.
And I've seen it. It's fucking rad.
Yeah.
And I've seen him work. I've had the pleasure of working alongside him, and
I still haven't seen him work.
And that dude is amazing, and never thought I would end up in that position. Like taking it back, like when you started tattooing, obviously I looked at like a million hours on Chris and Mike and like all of the guys, and ending up working with him is just sitting next to it and be like, fuck.
Watching it go down.
Yeah. Right.
No, I love it.
Crazy shit.
That's one of the things that gets me to go visit certain shops, is just to have those experiences.
Yeah.
And the more and more I have them, I realized everybody's having kind of the same things going on in their heads as well, where you don't necessarily expect them to be like, oh, I don't know, or like second guessing themselves, because the visual of the pieces that these guys are doing is like, man, they look so confident that they probably don't have any hang-ups. But, everybody's going through that same creative process.
Exactly. And I guess you like, with time, that's what you eliminate. Hang-ups.
Yeah, totally.
Yeah. It's like you figure out your formula. You figure it out. Like, okay, this is what I do. And like, of course, you always want to move forward, but you can't always move forward. Because if you're always moving forward, you're never going to be secure in one place. So you got to be, I think, at a level for some time of your own level and of your own comfort zone, and perfecting that comfort level of what you're doing. And then after a while, you're going to get like, fuck, I need to change this up.
Right.
So it comes naturally, and all these small different things you're slightly changing, in the end turns out to something new.
Right.
Overall. So it's a long process, which everybody knows. Everybody who's tattooing, who's in that situation, like, it comes. It's a long journey of self-doubt and good times and all of it.
And it's kind of cool that we have a permanent record of all of that throughout the years. So do you think it's a benefit to being in Malmo so long, where you almost have like a home base to kind of have that?
That's right. That was where I was going with this. I'm sorry. I'm sorry for cutting you off.
But yeah, I was thinking, like, if you have a home base and you have amount of people who can kind of come, and then you have things that you can rely on, like certain clients that you can rely on, do work that you're comfortable with, and then every so often push the boundaries a little bit more with yourself and your clients.
I think I don't try to push the boundaries where I'm uncertain of it. I think somehow I work best under pressure. Like, if I'll have too much time on my hands planning shit, I'm going to get lost in it.
Sure.
The more pressure I have on me to make it work, I think the more creative I'm going to get.
Right.
And that's what I like about not planning too much stuff out. Because I feel like my creative side works best if it's not too planned, and I've spent too much time on it,
right?
Second guessing it after a while, I always draw something and leave it for some time, for the next morning or whatever, just because I always fuck up some shit. Like, I don't see maybe the whole of it, and I'm like, the next time I take a look at it, I'm like, fuck, that's way off, and that's not how I wanted to look. And then I perfect that to what I think is what I want to do, not perfect, but what I want to do. Then after I kind of get that down, I try to get loose with it. I'm even trying to get loose when I'm tattooing. I love looking at loose tattoos, like that are just like full of energy and power. But when I get down to tattooing, I'm like, even if I try to make it loose, it's not loose. And I'm like, fuck, I want it to be loose.
But I know what you're talking about. Like, some of my favorite artists are pretty loose. And when you kind of like look at segments of the tattoo, you're like, ugh. But as a whole, it's amazing. And you look past maybe certain things that don't connect, or
this raw energy.
Yes, exactly. And I think maybe as you get on in years in tattooing, that's more attractive. I think for me, especially in the beginning, it was like I like that pristine kind of like clean look.
That's what you're trying to achieve, so you can do it.
But now that's less interesting to me.
For sure.
Something that is like you said, power, and it's more of a visceral thing, less than like a visual thing. And it's like, you don't have to study it to understand that you like it. It's like you're hit right away with it. And the artists that do that, I know they do a lot more like the freehand type of work, and because they're showing in their Instagram feeds, like this is the marker and it looks shitty, and how it's like we grew up with Bob Ross, the painter.
Yeah.
And so he, in like Saturday morning, right after cartoons, they would have this like painter dude. He had a big afro.
Yeah, you know that guy. Yeah.
So, anyways, he would start off this painting and it would look like dog shit.
Yeah.
And I'm like, this is awful. Like, why am I watching this as a little kid? Like, and then all of a sudden, at the last moment, it's this, beautiful made up landscape. And it's just like, whoa. But I see that in some people's like drawings, like when they show like the pictures of the sketch on the skin. I'm like, where's that gonna go? And then at the end of it, you're like, holy shit, that's incredible. Like, how did that come about? Yeah, it seems to be the thing. Like you almost can't have. I mean, you can obviously have that power without drawing it on, but I think there's a help to that when you have to kind of rely on that moment.
For sure. For big tattoos, for sure.
Mm-hmm.
Like for big tattoos with like Japanese stuff with backgrounds and shit, that's the best way of approaching it. You got some people doing huge tattoos that are mainly motives and everything is drawn on paper because you can't really get to the amount of that detail and that well drawn.
Yeah.
If you don't do it on paper. Well, most of the people, I mean, and that works great. Like, but I think for Japanese tattooing or for something, I think I come up with my best ideas. What I think, I'm not saying it's the best ideas, when I'm kind of stuck and I'm like, this little area over the elbow or the ditch or whatever, what the fuck am I going to do with this? And you're kind of just like, fuck it and get loose with it. And you're like, okay, I would never have come up with that shit on paper.
No, totally.
It was that spot. It was the spot I had. It was the rest of the stuff that happened in the tattoo. And that was it.
My motto with elbows is that they don't exist.
Yeah. No, fuck, I completely agree. A weak elbow in a tattoo is fucking not good. Like, go over that shit.
Yeah, whatever lands there stays.
Yeah. Do you know how to tattoo? Well, let me see your elbow tats.
Yeah. Oh, you didn't plan that at all. It just went right through there. But that's I like where the conversation is going, because it was like I didn't expect you to say some of the same things that were kind of like running through my head. So it was really cool. I've been able to see some of your work in progress come through the shop.
Yeah.
We have Ben from the Netherlands. So every time he gets
The
tattooed,
Ben
he comes.
with the huge snake thing.
So cool.
Fuck, I had such a problem with that back, dude.
Really?
Yeah, shit.
You have to
What's
show
up,
me,
Ben?
because I can't
How you
see
doing?
I think he listens to he's the third subscriber.
No, so we were gonna. Yeah, we ended up going for a snake, and like with all tattoos, it's a lot about the person wearing it. Like, what do you want in it? Like, what kind of vibe do you want from it? What do you want? I always try to go with what the person wants, unless it's a bad idea. And I had this like very unplanned. That whole back is mainly drawn on, but the head of the snake. So I had that going on, had that sketch, blew it up in size, and we had some problems with, because he's I don't mean to offend you, Ben, but you got some shoulder blades sticking out. So I couldn't
skinny tall dudes.
Yeah. So I couldn't fit it, like, because it was going over the shoulder blades and losing the shape. So like, we tried one size of it going down. We tried it going a little bit lower, going up. And he came in at noon, 12 o'clock, and we started tattooing at 5.
Wow.
You know, we just tried everything, this size, going up, going down, like until we kind of found the size where it fit.
Mm-hmm.
And then I got a plan for what I wanted to do. Like we knew we were going with a lot of water, a lot of big movement, a lot of action. 5 hours of trying shit, drawing shit on, and like shit, this dude traveling from Netherlands, and I was like, what's going on here?
Mm-hmm.
I'm gonna look like a fucking asshole. And that's like one of my favorite backs, you know, because it's like I'm really trying to push going bigger, still keeping a lot of details though, but still pushing like that's what I want to do. I want to go bigger in the motives, but still keeping it interesting. I don't know exactly how I'm gonna do it, but it's like it's the plan. We'll see where it ends up, but that back piece I'm very, very happy, and it's very fun to work on. And Ben's great dude, great tattooer.
Yeah.
And he just went along with it and let me go nuts on it. Thank you, Ben.
And
thank you for not leaving at like 4:00.
And thanks for dropping by Royal to show me. But yeah, that and the other big tattoo that comes to my mind that I've seen is that big dragon, the big dragon head.
Yeah. That's an American tattooer, Eric. Okay. What's up, Eric? That
thing's incredible.
Thank you.
Do you have color in it yet? I remember seeing the lines.
We put some color in it.
Mm-hmm.
That was also like, just do a dragon head as big as you can on my whole back.
Bless your
like
little
heart. Going down on my butt and legs. And I was like, okay, I was really not into the idea at first. I don't know how I would pull it off, but also one of my favorite tattoos.
Yeah, it hits you. Like when you see it, you're like, fuck.
It's huge. and Eric he's a big dude, 2 meters tall almost. Oh, like, so he's a tall dude.
Oh, that's good.
So
a lot of work.
The dragon head is huge.
Yeah.
Like.
And do you find now like people are pretty open to kind of letting you do kind of that, or like they trust in you enough to kind of push?
For sure. I'm very happy about that. It's always, like I said, it's always collaboration. I don't ever say like I'm gonna do this and that.
Mm-hmm.
It's always a collaboration between me and my awesome clients. Like I always try to get them what they want.
Sure.
But it's almost the same shit all the time, which I'm very happy to do because it's my favorite motives. You want a snake? You want to add some water with that?
Mm-hmm.
You want some lightning, maybe? You want some flowers? But I love that shit. You know, dragons, hanyas, snakes. It's always fucking rad and strong and fun.
Mm-hmm.
I never get tired of it. I just try to come up with new ways of doing it.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, and I think that's kind of what happens when you're going towards the Japanese themed tattooing is where I mean, at least I'm attracted to the strongest imagery possible. And so if I'm trying to make a big impact, I'm going to use those strong images as well. But I guess what's different is you interpret it your way, I interpret it my way, and then it becomes something brand new because of it, even though it's quote unquote Japanese or traditional, whatever it is you want to call it. That's where the real magic is where the individual is doing it.
For sure. And I always look at shit and I'm like, wow, that was bold, or that was smart, or that was, you know, even if we've seen like a million dragons, it's always something that gets you.
Yeah.
That's something like, oh, look at the nose of that one, or like nerdy shit. You nerd out on it, like, oh, look at the horns, look at that direction, and you just try to collect it all and do your thing of what the people you're looking at, how they impress you, and you're just like, you want to catch that energy in that tattoo you saw. You want to like catch something from that, but making it your own.
Totally, yeah. And it's funny because you can be inspired by, you know, so many different people, but never actually pick up exactly what they're doing.
No.
And how you would translate it with your own hand, it doesn't show as well. I was curious about your arms because a lot of tattooers don't really have good tattoos. Yep. But your arms are amazing. They're done by Mike, I'm assuming.
Yes.
Yeah. How was that experience?
That was super. That gave birth to a lot. You know, I was pretty new into tattooing then. I got tattooed here at Royal. Mm-hmm. The first, when I started this sleeve, my left sleeve with the Hanyan snake.
Right.
And I went back, I did a double day session here, went back to New York a little bit later on, finished it in a 3-day session.
Wow.
That was pretty rough, but it gave birth to a lot. You know, the thing we were talking about, my city, that I have my home base here, which is really nice and easy to travel to. Like, travel over to Copenhagen, big airport.
Yeah.
Coming from all over the world, there's always connections here. Getting the train over real quick. So it's real easy for people to get here, but also like in the beginning of the career, you were kind of stuck here. You didn't get so much info about tattooing until you started. That's why I try to get tattooed by people, you know, and that's why I went over to New York. Once you got to see those guys like Mike work, and it gave birth to something completely new, you know, and I still I remember stuff about this Hanya, still being blown away how he went in here real deep, and then he just lifted up the needle and just barely grazed the skin, and then just went in again. So all these small details, this is shit that I stole and still use. You know, and it just looked so much fun when he tattooed compared to myself, just fucking gripping the grip all I could and just trying to make it good, and he just had a blast. It just flew. And when I saw that, I was just like, fuck, this is so rad. I got to work hard to get somewhere even close to this. But it gave me a lot of inspiration, and just actually seeing how a world-class tattooer goes about it.
Yeah. No, it's impressive. And I think it's important to, like you said, go travel, because if you're at home comfortable, you're never going to push yourself. You're never going to, I mean, you can, I can't say never, but the inspiration I get to okay, we got to move this up a notch is usually after getting tattooed by somebody I admire, or say I'm at a convention or a guest spot somewhere. I see how other people are working, and I'm like, all right, you know, I get to really see how I compare to other people. And I'm like, all right, it's a good thing. I never think, oh, I should quit. It's more like, all right, let's keep it going. Let's get it better. And that's what kind of drives me. And I've been tattooing a while, like you, and
you tattooed longer than me, huh?
Yeah, but I don't want to say now after seeing your tattoos and being like, God damn.
Hell no. Hell no. Your shit is fucking super nice, super solid, super, I think, well thought out, and real. What we talked about before, that's how I think of a Japanese tattoo in my head. I wanted to look like this, but it comes out wilder. What you're doing, I think, is so strong and so Japanese.
Thanks, I appreciate that.
And so, but still, you know, Western Japanese, but very, very strong. And you should be very happy.
I'll try.
We're all trying.
Let's trade eyes, okay? But I guess what I'm trying to push for now is to, like you said, loosen shit up a little bit more. But I'm
so you loosen up, and I'll try to strict up.
Okay.
So,
but I love, you know, kind of the stripped down traditional Japanese, with a little bit more flow and power. Because some of the older 60s, 70s Japanese, it's just very stagnant, which I love, and I love a lot of the artists doing that sort of stuff now. But I think it's more fun for me to kind of branch out of that and dirty it up a little bit, I guess. Yeah.
I guess it's a good way of like saying, well, I don't need to plan stuff because it's gonna get worse. So,
but that kind of reminds me of what was going on in the late '60s rock and roll, where they were almost taking the jazz philosophy, and they were playing like rhythm and blues on LSD, starting, and then they didn't know where it was going to take them. But they have
that's a freedom.
Yeah, I always try to do like parallels to other things I'm influenced by. So like with music and getting in the mindset of what other musicians were doing and just kind of like playing out. They knew they were going to start a song, and then somewhere along the line, they were just going to play something. I'm really attracted to that, where they're able to just go let it happen, and the moment they start trying to control it again is when shit goes wrong.
Yeah. It loses its soul.
Yeah, exactly.
I guess, it's like it's keeping it interesting. It's keeping it moving.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. How would you make music with like a drawing? And I think it's that I've done the practice. I've done the hours of drawing, but now it's time to just let it go and
jam.
Yeah, jam.
Yeah, that's how I think of it. Mm-hmm. Now you want to have fun with it, of course. You're spending a lot of time trying to learn it, and once you've learned it, you never learn everything. But like once you got a good, solid ground, you can get loose with it.
Mm-hmm. Totally.
I remembered very clearly, like listening to Freddie Corbin saying in Tattoo Age, like after 10 years, you can start to get good. I like that. It's around 10 years. I could start to loose up, and let's start to get good.
It's funny. It's true around that 10-year mark.
Yeah.
I had this idea. I think I know how to line now.
Yeah.
There was that moment of it was almost like an aha moment where I did like a couple tattoos and I realized I wasn't thinking about what my hand was doing anymore. I'm like, oh, okay. And then another 10 years goes by and he's still having those aha moments. But
imagine how boring it would be if it wasn't like that. If like every time you go guest spot somewhere, you just pick up so much stuff that you try. Some of it you don't like.
Right.
Some of it is just like, fuck, I've been looking for this. And it's just that way with tattooing, I guess. You just got to find what's right for you.
Right. Yeah, I always refer to Henning because of how active he is and how interested he is in everything. He's kind of like a mentor, like model.
Yeah.
Like, all right, in 40 years of tattooing, this is the kind of direction I would like to follow as well, because he gets giddy about like tattoos.
Yeah. And I've said it a lot of times. A lot of persons heard me say it. At the end of my career, if I'm a half or a third of what Henning is, I'm going to be real happy.
Yeah, totally. I think that's true. So tell me about what it's like at Malmo Classic.
Oh, that's amazing. So I closed down shop a while back, and that was nice to do. It was time to move on and time to do something new. Me and Pete used to work together at old shop called Old Bones.
Okay.
Back in the days, for 3 years we worked together. Pete has been the one that showed me a lot about just tattooing and how to approach it, how to think about it, how to draw it, like how to...
Back then when you were working at Old Bones?
Exactly. Yeah. I came in there. I've been tattooing for 3 years, working with real tattooers for the first time. And that was pretty intimidating, but also very inspirational. So Pete has taught me a lot. I would say the most from actual like hand to hand, how you approach it, how you do it. When that shop ended, me and Pete were going to open up together. But yeah, different things happened and it wasn't the time, We ended up opening 2 different shops, but stayed very good friends and always hang out. Kind of like now me working at his shop is just going back to something that we already knew, that we enjoy working together. So it's a new good thing.
But it's a pretty impressive collection of guys. Is Jake as well?
Yeah.
And you all have very distinct styles. unique approaches, and it seems like a pretty solid crew.
It's fun.
Yeah,
it's fun. It's a small shop, very small shop, so it's we're having a great time.
Yeah,
just it's all broken down to just tattooing. We don't have a shoppy or something like that. We get in, tattoo, talk shit, listen to music, listen to podcasts though.
Yeah.
But not about tattooing.
No.
About different weird shit. And we just have a good time, feeding off each other and just tattooing.
That's good. It seems like a good relationship you guys all kind of built up. I'm sure it's uplifting for each of you to kind of push each other. Yeah.
They're like, damn, Johan is here. We had
Wasn't
such
he
a
working
good run
down
before.
This sounded like a good idea on paper.
Yeah. No, we have a great time. It's real fun. I don't know where the future is taking me. But my girl tattoos, we're having a kid now very soon. Thank you. Very soon, just in a couple of weeks.
Wow.
So this is in our mind right now. This is the next step. And after that, who knows? We might do like you guys talked about, just buying a van and just go across.
Dropping off.
Yeah, just drop. Fuck it, I'd love to drop off.
You could get like a tow for your motorcycle as well. And just put it in the back.
That has to come.
Yeah.
It's got to be with me.
But it's super attractive, that freedom.
Yeah, sure. I wish it was easier though, to go off grid and just say fuck it and just live your life as a tattoo nomad.
Be like Mad Max,
with
tattoo gats. But you're super excited. Kid on the way.
Yep. Brand
nervous
new chapter.
At all?
Never nervous. I never get nervous about anything. Joking.
Good for you.
No, but it's good. It's so much to look forward to, and of course some nervousness, a little bit, but I'm more positive and ready.
Yeah.
Can't wait for the little girl to come out.
That's awesome, man. Super happy for you.
Thank you very much. It's been a great time. I appreciate coming out here, and thank you for dinner and everything.
No problem.
And it was real nice sitting and talking.
Yeah,
we might do a episode 2. Huh?
I would love to. Yeah, because I actually have a few other questions I want to ask, but I don't want it to get too long.
No. I got more shit to talk about.
And maybe next time we can come visit you and see the shop.
Yeah.
Meet the other guys.
For sure.
Super happy you came up. Really appreciate it.
Me too.
It's good to finally sit down and chat.
Thanks, dude.
One last thing before, if people don't have your Instagram, where can they find you, or what is your Instagram account?
Well, my Instagram account is Johan Svahn Tattooing. So JohanSvahn Tattooing.
The name of the shop is Malmo Classic.
Malmo Classic. Yep.
Do they have a shop Instagram?
We don't. No.
So don't look for it.
No, don't look for that shit. It's not existing.
Just look for you.
Yeah.
All right. Again, thanks. We'll see you in part 2.
All right. Thank you.
Thank you, sir.
Thank you.
Woo! That was fun.
Thanks, dude.
Thank you.
Thanks.